first. The credit card companies appear to have few friends in Washington this morning. The House could vote on a bill containing sweeping new restrictions today, something the Senate passed with much fanfare on Tuesday. CBS News senior White House correspondent Bill Plant has all the details. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Julie. Anger against banks and credit card companies in these tough times probably accounts for the overwhelming bipartisan support for the reform bill, particularly in the Senate.
For consumers across the country who are drowning in credit card debt, a lifeboat has just arrived.
New York Senator Chuck Schumer was one of 90 senators who passed what's being called the Credit Card Bill of Rights. The Senate bill requires card issuers to give 45 days notice before a rate increase, requires promotional rates to last at least 6 months, and bans rate hikes on new cards during the first year. It denies cards to anyone under 21 unless they prove they can repay the money or that a parent or guardian is willing to pay off their debt if they default. But some bankers and economists warn that the new rules could actually harm consumers.
It could have counterproductive effects in that credit companies will react and say, we're just going to make less credit available.
Now, there is an amendment in the Senate bill which allows loaded guns in national parks. Don't ask. But that's likely to cause some argument when House and Senate members sit down to reconcile this. But still, with all that public support, this bill is likely to be on the president's desk by the end of the week. Harry?
Bill Plant at the White House this morning. Thanks. Joining us now from Capitol Hill is the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, Senator Chris Dodd. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Harry.
Consumer groups are saying congratulations. Banking groups are saying, quite frankly, what this does is, or will do, is make less credit available. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, this was a great day for consumers. I've been at this for 20 years, offered the first legislation 2 decades ago, and where I could hardly get 30 votes on something like this. And so the world has changed dramatically. And it's a little like Chicken Little. I mean, it couldn't get much rougher on consumers. When you can raise rates from 5% to 24% and take credit limits from $32,000 down to $4,000 overnight for being 3 days late for the first time in 40 years, as happened to a Connecticut couple, it's hardly credible to talk about making it more difficult for consumers. Just to give you one idea, Harry, between 2007 and 2008, the credit card industry raised interest rates on 70 million accounts. That's 1 in 4 families, in many cases without any justification except a clause that says we can raise rates at any time for any reason. So this was a long time coming and long overdue.
On the other hand, Senator, gone is the small print. Gone will be the overnight changes in interest rates.
Right.
At the same time in this, if people are out there who are suffering, there's no forgiveness in this, though, right?
Well, forgiveness in what sense? If you're late, and fees can still be charged, but you can't impose them without justification and cause. They've got to be proportional as well. 25 years ago, the contract between a borrower and a lender on a credit card was 1 page long. Today, it's 30 pages long, and you need to have a microscope and a law degree to understand it. So we're really trying to get people better informed. Look, there are responsibilities that consumers face. They've got to be responsible, but they also have rights, Harry. And the idea that you can take children and to give them pre-approved cards where they have no income, no jobs, no assets, that you can literally gouge consumers, raise rates for almost no reason. Those are rights that consumers deserve to have protected.
Yeah, every college kid gets 5 envelopes the first day of school with credit cards in them. Let me ask you about this bill that's attached to it that would allow people to carry weapons into national parks. Will you be able to exercise that, or is that going to ride along?
I suspect it'll ride along. I didn't vote for it. There were 26 of us that voted against it in the Senate. We carried overwhelmingly. Even the National Rifle Association has indicated they'd like to moderate this amendment. It goes way too far. Here we are a week away from Memorial Day when our national parks will be crowded. People going out to camp, to hike. The last thing they want to do is worry about going to a park where someone's got loaded guns. And again, this is not to be anti-gun. It's just a matter there ought to be certain places where tourists can go and have some sense of security that there's not at risk to themselves and their families. But the Senate voted overwhelmingly for it, and I suspect the House might as well. So I suspect this is going to be a part of the bill. I regret that, but that's the way the votes came down.
Senator Christopher Dodd, thank you so much for your time this morning. Do appreciate it.
Thank you, Harry, very much.
Now here's